Hi YouTubers. The reason why I picked this film first to review is because Rollercoaster is my favorite film of the 1970s, and it was introduced to me by my mother. It all started when I was about 12 or 13 years old, and it was a Saturday morning. I woke up and I was laying on the couch. On the television in front of me, I saw a movie that was playing, and it had roller coasters, amusement parks, people being chased. My mother was sitting in the love seat adjacent to me, and I said, "Mom, what's this film called?" So she pulled up the channel info, and it's a Rollercoaster 1977. I know it's already halfway over, but, can we find this film on DVD so I can watch it from start to finish? So she agreed. We had breakfast, we went online, ordered the film, and I got it a few days later in the mail. Now, this was actually the first film I ever got off Amazon. My mother and I would often quote the movie in public and make fun of each other whenever the situation seemed similar to a scene in the movie. Sadly, she passed away in April of this year from COVID-19. Mom, if you're watching this, I dedicate this episode to you. The reason why I have to say Rollercoaster 1977 is because there's also a 1999 film called Rollercoaster. But it has to do with 5 teens who escape a group home and travel to a defunct amusement park, hoping to find a security guard who will run the rides for them. Rollercoaster is one of those gems from the 1970s that gets pushed under the rug because of disaster classics such as Earthquake, The Poseidon Adventure, and The Towering Inferno. All great films with an amazing cast, but nothing says thrills, chills, and spills like Rollercoaster. The film has a great soundtrack composed by Argentine composer Lalo Schifrin, a strong cast such as George Segal, Timothy Bottoms, Henry Fonda, Richard Widmark, and at the time an unknown 14-year-old Helen Hunt as Harry Calder's daughter Tracy. It was one of the very few films to be shown in Sensurround. Sensurround was an effect achieved by rigging extend-range bass for sound effects into the floors and seats in theaters. The low-frequency sounds were more felt than heard, providing an added thrill to on-screen depictions of earthquakes, explosions, and amusement park rides. Other films that incorporate this effect were Earthquake, Midway, and the original Battlestar Galactica pilot, just to name a few. Now, this movie was released in 1977, so it's 43 years later. If you haven't seen the movie by now, spoilers. The movie begins with an establishing shot of an unknown man on a fishing pier. We see him unlock a tackle box and take out a pair of binoculars and watch as a maintenance worker checks the roller coaster track of an amusement park across the water. Employees are sweeping the grounds, opening food and drink stands, and rides are being tested. A maintenance worker places a small device on the track. We see that it's the unknown man. Cut to night, and the unknown man, eventually referred to as the young man, detonates the bomb using a little receiver from his pocket, sending the train off the rails and into the park guests below, both killing and injuring some of the riders. Safety Inspector Harry Calder is called to the park to investigate. A park employee who witnesses the tragedy tells Calder that he saw what he thought was a park maintenance man up on the tracks earlier that day, but then spoke with the actual maintenance person who said he was at home during that time having breakfast. In Pittsburgh, the young man causes a fire on the dark ride in another park. Calder suspects the incidents might be linked and learns the executives of companies running the largest amusement parks in America are holding a meeting at a prestigious Chicago hotel. Calder flies to Chicago and intrudes on the meeting. One of the executives plays a tape sent by the young man, wherein he demands $1 million to stop his activities. Back home, Calder is visited by FBI agent Hoyt, who says the extortion money is to be delivered by Calder at King's Dominion, another amusement park. There, Calder is ordered to wait at a payphone in the park until the young man calls, warning him that there is a bomb in the park. He sends Calder a two-way radio so he can keep contact, then orders Calder to go on various rides in the park in order to wear down him as well as the undercover officers in the park. While Calder is riding on the Skyway to the station near the Singing Mushrooms, the young man tells Calder that the bomb is located in the radio. He warns Calder not to throw it away, because it will explode on impact on the paths below, which are occupied by many of the park's visitors. He orders Calder to falsely signal that he has made the delivery in order to distract the FBI, then leave the money on the bench. Calder complies and walks away. Later, Agent Hoyt admits that he marked the money. Calder demands to be sent home and leaves the bomb radio with the bomb squad. Later that night, Calder gets a call in bed from the young man. He blames Calder for the marked money and promises that he will attack again. Assuming it will be directed at Calder personally, he deduces that the next target will be the Revolution roller coaster at Magic Mountain. FBI agent Hoyt rejects Calder's hypothesis, but decides to investigate anyway because the ride is scheduled to debut on July 4th, when the park attendance will be at its highest for the season. Agents disguised as park maintenance men comb the tracks 1 hour before the coaster is set to deliver its first ride of the day. The bomb squad finds it exactly where Harry told Agent Hoyt it would be and disarms it. The young man finds out, so he returns to his car and makes a new bomb. In order to get on board the roller coaster, he pays the park guests $100 for his gold ticket, which entitles the person in line to be one of the first passengers on the ride. He boards in the rear of the train and attaches the bomb under the seat. Following the first ride, Calder recognizes the young man's voice during his ride exit interview with the reporter. He chases the young man and alerts the agents that he might have placed something in the coaster train. Before the agents can get word to the ride operators, the train leaves on the chain lift for its second round circuit. The young man is eventually cornered and causes a scene in the park by threatening to blow up the ride, holding a detonator in his hand while the agents on the back end try to jam the signal. He demands a firearm. Calder takes one from an agent and begins to hand it to him. Agents succeed in jamming a detonator signal and alert Calder. Calder retains the gun, but in doing so, shoots the young man in the leg, who then proceeds to run away. He hops a fence into an area below the Revolution and runs blindly, eventually circling back towards Calder. The young man climbs into the track, but sees Calder and freezes. Calder hears the train making a pass, but the young man doesn't see it until the last second and is hit and killed instantly. The ride opens a little while later following the accident. Harry begins walking away from the accident and asks a passing guest if he has a cigarette and a light. The guy gives it to him. Harry thinks about it for a second, drops both the cigarette and the matches, and then disappears into the park's crowd. Up until the end of the film, George Segal's character has had to handle quitting smoking, visiting his ex-wife so he can see his daughter, chasing a bomber all over the United States, and stressing over a job that he may or may not have after all this is over and done with. However, this is all washed away at the end of the film when Harry decides to walk away from the accident and drop the cigarette and matches. The expression on his face says it all. It's a mixture of both giving up and starting new, but with a more mature attitude towards life. The director James Goldstone said that Segal had George play the everyman character who was repeatedly dumped on, but he's not a buffoon. He knows who he is, and therefore free to take chances, to try something new, to expose his vulnerability. There's also a lot of great comedy writing in this movie that gives it just the right amount of levity and tongue-in-cheek humor. In the beginning, Harry's boss asks Harry to go and talk to the manager of Ocean View Park, but Harry has this to say.
I want you to go out there and represent the department. Find out if there was negligence involved.
You go. It happens to be my wedding anniversary. So take your wife. You're funny, Harry. And we both know how much I admire your sense of teamwork.
Later on, Helen Hunt, Susan Strasberg, and George Segal are eating dinner at a Chinese restaurant, and she says this.
Daddy, you should say with faith, man can move mountains.
I thought Jesus said that.
Well, maybe he did, but according to that fortune cookie... Which is yours, by the way. Confucius said it, too.
Don't believe everything you read.
But then, later Harry pulls this little nugget out in order to convince Agent Hoyt about the Revolution coaster, and this happens.
But how many are getting this kind of publicity? It's made to order for.
You're reaching.
Confucius say with faith man can move mountain.
Where'd you get that? Out of a fortune cookie?
There's a lot of interesting facts about this film, and I'm going to list them. Number 1, the mystery behind the young man's character. There's been a lot of speculation over the years about who he is and who he was. Why is he an excellent marksman? How is he able to travel from park to park, rig amusement park rides with explosives, and then leave without a trace? Either someone is helping him, or he is trained. For anyone that has seen this film and has questions, I have the answer. On the Shout Factory Blu-ray release, there is a 12-minute interview with writer Tommy Cook where he tells us that in the original story, The young man was in the service and was taught munitions. His time in the service is over, and now that he's back home, he can't find a job or earn an income. He decides that if he can't find work after he put in his service to his country, then he's going to take everything that they taught him and put it to use by blackmailing amusement park CEOs into giving him $1 million by threatening their businesses with fire and destruction. Number 2, Little Tracy Calder. Tracy was portrayed by Helen Hunt, and this was actually her first feature film. Steve Guttenberg, also in his first film role, has an uncredited part as a messenger at Magic Mountain who brings the plans for the Revolution roller coaster to Harry Calder and FBI agent Hoyt. Several real amusement parks were used in the film for the various park and roller coaster scenes. Ocean View Park in Norfolk, Virginia was used for the first park in the film. Although the park was located on the Chesapeake Bay, it was described as a West Coast park in the film. King's Dominion in Doswell, Virginia also appeared in the film. Some of the rides featured in the film, such as the Shenandoah Lumber Company and Rebel Yell wooden roller coaster, now named Racer 75, still exist today. The final park used was Magic Mountain, now called Six Flags Magic Mountain in Valencia, California. The park's Great American Revolution roller coaster is featured predominantly in the film's climax. Number 4. Originally, Kennywood was one of the locations to be used in the opening crash segment of the film. But after the park's owners declined, the producers of the film ended up shooting the Wonderworld fire segment at King's Dominion instead. Number 5. To make the scene where the bomb squad is disarming the device on the Revolution, the production team hired a real-life bomb squad to do the scene to make it look as authentic as possible. Number 6. Layla Schifrin, who composed the soundtrack for Rollercoaster, has composed soundtracks from other classic films such as Enter the Dragon, Dirty Harry, and the theme song to Mission Impossible. The Blu-ray from Shout Factory is kind of bare bones when it comes to features, with only a theatrical trailer and an interview with writer and associate producer Tommy Cook. He recalls how the original story that inspired Rollercoaster came to exist and discusses the film, some of the changes that were made during the production process, and James Goldstone as a director. The DVD originally had production notes, cast and filmmaker bios, film highlights, a theatrical trailer, and web links. This DVD was distributed in 1998, the early days of DVDs, so this is the features that many of the DVDs consisted of. A really awesome thing that Shout Factory does is that they print reversible covers, and the discs have artwork themselves. Disney could sure take a page out of their book. This film has it all: action, adventure, drama, comedy, mystery, horror, and suspense. I may be going out on a limb here, but I would consider this to be a classic next to Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train. If you like this video, please click on the subscribe button below and give it a like and share. Turn on those notifications so you can stay up to date with all new videos, news, updates, podcasts, etc. You can also follow me on Instagram. In the description below, you can purchase the movie on Blu-ray from Shout Factory, as well as donate to my channel and to the COVID victims and families. I really appreciate everyone for watching this video, and if you have any comments and questions, please post them in the comments section below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you soon.